In the 1996 book, The Entrancing Flame by John Hamer, he devoted a chapter about the gruesome death of Jeannie Safin. The tragic death happened in her own house, and at the time, her father and brother-in-law were present. Her father, Jack, was in the kitchen when he noticed a bright flash of light at the corner of his eye. As he turned to Jeannie to ask if she saw the bright light, what he witnessed was something out of a horror movie. His daughter was in flames whilst sitting at the kitchen table with her hands on her lap. Jeannie Safin's brother-in-law, Don, saw blue flames coming out of her mouth and her midriff. She was roaring like a dragon, he said. The kitchen wasn't damaged, but her cardigan melted. The inquest never sorted it out, but I know what I saw. Similar to all of the aftermath of spontaneous human combustion, the only remnants of Jeannie were her legs. While the investigation was going on, police found no reason for Jeannie's combustion. There was no sign of burning in the house except for Jeannie's body. Jeannie Safin's case has become a piece of irrefutable evidence amongst the paranormal community of the existence of spontaneous human combustion. To this day, the cause of her death is still unknown. I have featured 3 more notable cases, including the most recent spontaneous human combustion case that happened in Ireland in 2010, exclusively for my podcast listeners. Spontaneous human combustion refers to the death from a fire originating without an apparent external source of ignition. The fire is believed to start within the body of the victim. This phenomenon is believed to have occurred for centuries, where the earliest documented incident can be found in the 17th century, with a large number of cases recorded in the 19th century and a handful in the 20th and the 21st centuries. Altogether, there are a few hundred recorded possible cases. The earliest documented case is by the Danish anatomist and mathematician Thomas Bartholin in his book, which catalogs strange medical phenomena. In the book, Bartholin described the death of an Italian knight in the 15th century called Polonius Vorstius, who drank a few glasses of strong wine in his home in Milan. Like Jeannie, he burst into flames all of a sudden and reduced to ashes and smoke in front of his horrified parents. The aftermath of spontaneous human combustion is also rather peculiar because, although the torso and head are charred beyond recognition, the hands, feet, and part of the legs may be unburned. In addition, the room around the person always shows little or no sign of fire except for a small residue left on furniture or walls. In rare cases, the internal organs of the victim remain untouched while the outside was charred. Not every victim of spontaneous human combustion was simply consumed by the flames. Some luckily only developed strange burns on their body without any plausible reason. Only a small percentage of people have survived spontaneous combustion. Because of how mysterious the phenomenon is, it has garnered a lot of interest surrounding the topic, not only from people with a medical professional background, but also from people with religious backgrounds. The British Medical Journal in 1938 have found a few commonalities in the recorded cases of spontaneous human combustion. What they found is that the victims are almost always chronic alcoholics. They are usually elderly females. Their body has not burned spontaneously, but some lighted substance has come into contact with it. The hands and feet usually fall off and unburned. The fire caused very little damage to combustible things in contact with the body, and the combustion of the body has left a residue of greasy and fetid ashes with a very offensive odor. In order for the human body to be ignited, it needs 2 things: intense high heat and a flammable substance. Under normal circumstances, the human body does not have any of those features mentioned, but some scientists have speculated about the possibility of such events over the centuries. Some debunked theories suggests that the fire is sparked when enough methane is present inside the intestines and is ignited by enzymes. However, many victims of spontaneous human combustion suffer more damage on the outside rather than the inside of their bodies, which contradicts this theory. Another debunked theory speculates that the origin of the fire, which could result from a buildup of static electricity inside the body, which originates from an external geomagnetic force. Larry Arnold suggests that this phenomenon is the result of a new subatomic particle called pyroton, which interacts with cells to create a microexplosion. But there is no scientific evidence backing up the existence of this particle. The most convincing research on the topic was done by Joe Nickell and John F. Fisher, where they spent 2 years researching the topic. They published their research to the International Association of Arson Investigators, which they found that the burned bodies were plausibly close to a fire or flammable objects. Possible causes could be candles, lamps, and fireplaces because such sources were often omitted from published accounts. It's presumably used to deepen the aura of mystery surrounding an apparently spontaneous death. The investigators described how additional fuel sources may help to retain melted fat, which caused more of the body to be burned and destroyed, yielding still more liquefied fat in a cyclic process known as the wick effect or the candle effect. This hypothesis has been successfully tested in other studies where the human body typically has enough stored fat to make it fully combust. Even lean people have several pounds of fat in their tissues. Once the fats are heated, it wicks into the clothing as much as a candle wax is drawn into a lit candle wick, providing the fuel needed to keep the wick burning. The protein in the body also burns, but provides less energy than fat, with the water in the body being the inhibitor of further combustion. However, slow combustion, lasting hours, will evaporate the water slowly. In an enclosed area, such as a house, this moisture will recondense nearby, possibly on windows. Feet and hands don't typically burn because they often have the least fat. Only if they are close to the abdomen will it provide the necessary fat for combustion. What happened during each cases of combustion is that the victims might be too intoxicated to be able to respond to the accident properly. As for the unburned surroundings, the nearby objects might not be close enough to the fire. Furthermore, the fires in question are relatively small, and they tend to burn in an upward fashion. Nickell and Fisher urged people to do the investigations on an individual basis and cautioned against a single simplistic explanation for all unusual burning deaths.